That said, though, let's get into the map. It is, as far as I can tell, going to be Consulate. I'm pretty sure that's what the bands say. We're looking at Coastline, but don't be distracted by that. I'm all but certain we'll load into Consulate unless the map bands are completely incorrect.
No, we're going to Consulate. That's absolutely correct. Maybe they want the sunny nature of Coastline instead of the grim war-torn Consulate. Maybe they're thinking, you know what, Michael, for the final map of the day, let's hit them with the nice tropical beaches, the island scene, maybe some pina coladas, maybe not, maybe some margaritas, some island drinks, maybe even a sex on the beach, the drink. But then we end up going to Consulate just in case anyway. They're trying to send people home happy, you know?
Yeah.
But instead we now go to what is essentially like almost like a bombed out war zone in Africa, which is where Consulate is held, which is maybe a bit more grim in terms of scenery.
Right, but it is the scenery that we have signed up for, or at least these teams have signed up for, by bringing us here through the band phase. Hopefully they're okay with it. I mean, I definitely would have taken the sunny beaches personally, but that's just me. In terms of map preference, I don't like either of those two maps. But
I mean, does it really matter where you go because both maps will be filled with slaughter?
Yeah, no, I guess it doesn't, Parker. That's a good point. Lots of death and destruction. I guess, you know, that's what we're here for. Death and destruction within Rainbow Six Siege. Plenty of both. Disorder. Chaos. And a mute ban. We'll round out the ban phase here. Sledge, Abana, Echo, and Mute. So there's some targeted bans in there. Definitely the Sledge and the Echo. Those, to me, seem like getting rid of a particular prong of the other team that you do not fancy from what you know about them. Echo is a bit of a niche pick, and Sledge is also going to hurt the vertical play, but there's a lot of adaptability on that front. You could definitely bring breach charges, a buck. You got options. There's plenty.
We have stats, by the way, on entire operator pick rates. Is Jaeger's pick rate above 95%?
I could tell you for these teams, like if we're zooming in on Consulate for these teams, defense. Team 1 does bring Jaeger half the time, actually, on Consulate. Only half the time when available, but he has a win percentage of 71% for Team 1. For Furia, Jaeger is brought 87% of the time when available and has a lower win percent because of that 50%. So, I guess these teams are not like committed to Jaeger, at least not on Consulate.
Well, this has been one of the most played maps here in the Six Invitational thus far. It shouldn't surprise anybody. It's very popular in a wide variety of other regions. We as NA casters now, though it is, I don't know if you do this, but I still, like, it's still not in my head that I'm like an NA League caster. Like in my head, I'm still just like a caster.
Well, we did almost 4 years of casting every region but APAC. So
correct.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, real quick, I do have the stats for Jaeger overall for Six Invitational. He's got about a 76 or so, 77, depending on how you count it, percent influence rate. Like a 2.6% ban, or wait, what was it? No, 7.9% ban rate and a 69% pick rate. Nice. So yeah, he's been influential. That's the overall.
Deploying drone.
Well, this is going to be a tense one. And the fans, obviously, will want to weigh in on this. Reminder to everybody that's watching is that you are capable of going and voting for who you think is going to win. It should be on the Rainbow Six socials. You think it's going to be Team 1, or do you think it's going to be Furia? Which one do you think is going to come out ahead? Either way. The downstairs hold, that is going to be characterized by Team 1's map control on that first floor. This is a very common spot for Neskin to be playing off of. It is a confusing name, and I actually would like a clarification off this. We have not casted Neskin yet. Did he name himself after Nesk? That's what I want to know.
It's got to be. It's got to be like something else.
Is it an homage? Like, that's the question I have. Like, did he grow up idolizing Nesk and name himself off of him, and now here he is? Oh my! Pull the trigger. There you go. Nice first pick by Team 1.
Yeah, down goes Highs, who has been a standout performer. Pardon me, for Furia. So his casualty is going to definitely punish the attack early on. Ooh. Long-range shot there. KDS barely eats any damage, though. About 2 or 3 shaved off. And Furia still have not dealt with Neskin inside a bathroom, and as I say that, he'll fall back. But that's the right time to fall back. With only 70 seconds left on the clock here for Furia to execute, all Team 1 needs to do is wait out and make sure they're in a position to use their utility to deny the plant. They only have 1 C4 and 3 gas canisters to do that with, though. So they're going to be kind of limited on their options.
There's one of Ash's breaching rounds shot out, looking to try and make some noise. 50 seconds to go for them. Furia has the piano area, and now they've also got to pick on the KDS. So into a 4v4 they will find themselves with 44 seconds left. Shaiko fans rejoice. They're waiting to go in through the breach and likely get that diffuser down behind the black car. Keep in mind, Thermite has access to smokes now, one of which is still in his hands, and if he's in rare form, he can toss one out and force somebody from Team 1 to take that engagement. As it stands, Levy's inside of office. He's waiting to peek out, but he's got the smoke lingering in front of him. There's one for Lagonis. Toxic canister goes out. That looks to be a missed opportunity. Levy another. Down on to rare, so the diffuser surrendered. Miracle picks it back up. He creeps on in towards the back of black car. One of the air jobs goes off giving information, but Miracle now will have to do it all on his own, and he has no help whatsoever. Team 1 just swamp him before he can get that diffuser down, and they'll take round number 1.
Wow, that was a wild round there, Parker. All right, so roam clear is in for the attack. Furia establishes they don't need to deal with anybody flanking. Great, job done. They transition then to the main garage panel attack, and you think to yourself, all right, so they're going to start changing things up to get and execute direct into the site. Now, normally, when attacking through the garage panel, the attackers have the advantage. They have higher magnification, usually better damage over distance, but not in that engagement. In that engagement that we just watched, the smokes did not go well for Furia. They were not well placed. They were not well timed. And when Team 1 took a fight, they won a fight. Every single one of them. Even when we saw Fantasy get up close on the rotation to kitchen, he just gets swatted down by Team 1. And overall, that was the storyline for the round. The engagements come, Team 1 are not losing.
No, a formidable team on attack and defense going up against Furia, who frankly have surprised me. And I mean, I haven't been able to tune into every single LATAM game that's involved Furia since the start. But I mean, my first understanding of Furia was how they were the worst team for quite a while in BR6 before finally catching fire, getting comfortable, and then starting to climb the standings. And now here they are, and they've made some considerable noise in an entire group that frankly has been dominated by teams in Latin America. The Brazilians have shown up. This has been talked about a lot. It is a major point of focus. Just as we spend all the time in the world discussing how both DZ and G2 have dramatically underperformed expectations, Apex absence on the big stage also hurting, we're going to focus with laser-like intensity and accuracy as to how LATAM has been clobbering most of these teams, except for maybe Empire and BDS, of course.
Yeah, who technically are atop the standings right now in Group A, but there's so many groups matches still to go. So I wouldn't be surprised if the standings, as they stand now, will shake up. Furia right now focused on a top floor clear. This time they're doing it from the west over. Now normally, when you're doing a top floor clear, it's east over. At least that's the most common these days. It's not the only option, and the west over clear can work. It relies on you taking yellow stairs control, which is often quite difficult. The way that it's set up from Team 1, though, right now, yellow stairs are free.
KDS still sitting up top, watching over lobby. This has been a site that when you and I have casted Consulate, we haven't seen an awful lot of this lobby defense. Teams have been favoring downstairs and Teller's Archives, and there hasn't been enough of a defensive hold that has permitted all three sites to be shown. And when we have seen it, a lot of teams opt to go upstairs still, which I think is a holdover of a previous meta. Upstairs CEO projector site is really not as strong as it used to be. Meanwhile, as I say that, on lobby, Levy's been dropped. Down he goes. The Maestro will need to be retrieved at some point. He'll try to crawl to safety, but that death timer is ticking away very quickly. He might actually be able to make it into Lagonis, but there's a grenade in hand for Highs. Are they going to bait him out? No, the grenade actually misses. Could Levy be retrieved? Now, it's only 20 HP or so, but Highs has no intel off of this. Maestro, now scarily close to being punished for it. And in the nick of time, he's going to get picked right back up.
You know, most importantly, obviously Levy's on low HP, but he can now use his Evil Eyes to do things like shoot drones. Not that one because it's too far out of his range, but to do things like shoot drones, gather information, etc. So that's a really important pickup. KDS is also going to get a kill upstairs on the roam clear. Alamau adds to that, meaning that now Furia back against the wall as Alamau gets his second kill onto Fantasy. Highs and Rare, the last two attackers, and they only have 35 seconds to make something happen.
Just really remarkable play from everybody on Team 1 right now, leaving Furia outside the building, frustrated and needing to find a way in. Now, you've got utility to spare, but your entrance, whether it be on a window, whether it be on a door, is going to be known. Look at that kill from Rare. He swings on in. A nice pre-fire, but he's silenced by the Nitro Cell from Neskin below, leaving Highs in a 1v3. Good news for him. KDS and Levy are just one shot away from death, and if he hits one, it could mean all the world, but no, he doesn't. It's silenced, and it's cleaned up by Team 1, who now pick up their second round in a row.
Great round there from Neskin and Alamau. The two kills that Alamau managed to get over by Yellow Stair side of the building, didn't actually see them, but they're really important kills as they slow down all the momentum that Furia was attempting to build to execute into Piano. Furia setting up all around Piano, and they even take top floor control above Piano just to deny the vertical presence, at least above, but they didn't clear out below. So there's that C4 from Neskin, and they weren't ready to deal with Alamau peeking them, and that's it. That's the story. Well done. Also, the fact that the Maestro was not punished, that's really unfortunate if you're Furia. I don't know if they even realized they had downed him at first. I think it took him a while to figure out that Levy was on the floor, and at that point it was already too late. He had escaped, so there's definitely some hesitation there on Furia's side. They need to correct that.
One of the things that was discussed, by the way, in clutch moments, and it became a point of conversation when Nesk got that kill from below, if you remember correctly, onto Cloud9 with the grenade, the impact on Clubhouse.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And he managed to get the kill with the impact, and then he went onto the diffuser. One of the things that a lot of pro teams will do is that even though points are off, they're not actually off. It's just the indicator on your screen is off. If you're holding tab to see the scoreboard, and you hit somebody with a frag grenade, you will go up by 50 points.
Right.
So it is not uncommon. In fact, teams do this in clutch moments when it's a 1v1 or a 1v2 or something along those lines, where if somebody's dead, they'll sit there holding tab and watch to see if when you throw a grenade or you use a certain piece of utility, it nets a kill or not. And that could have been done, by the way, or maybe it wasn't done by Furia. They got the down, but there's everybody alive. Nobody's looking at it. Nobody's bothering to figure that out. And given the fact where those grenades went, they were nowhere close to where the Maestro of Levy was. Now, as I was saying all of that, I don't know where Miracle was, but...
Coming out of spawn.
Coming out of spawn, Neskin gets a spawn peek, and that's the very first kill in the round, and it comes in the first 15 seconds.
Yeah, he died really early on. He did, you know, the little wall on the southwest spawn that protects you from when, the immediate spawn. He was going through one of the little breaks in the wall there, and he didn't make it through. That's actually the break that's to the right of Lenda right now. That's unfortunate for Furia and Miracle as an individual. It also means you're not going to have your air jabs. One thing I want to highlight here, because we didn't talk about it enough during the ban phase, Valkyrie on Consulate. Oh boy, this is one of her best maps, and the Valkyrie cams are actually going to prompt Furia to bring an IQ on Lenda. So forcing your opponent to adjust their lineup into an IQ, such a powerful pick just for that. And on top of that, you're getting information all the while from those Valkyrie cams. This is why you ban Valkyrie on, well, most maps, but especially Consulate.
Not just forcing the IQ pick here, as now Neskin picks up kill number 2 for him on the round. He punishes Fantasy. The Ash will not be able to make any noise whatsoever trying to head in through Piano, but that area being patrolled so well by Team 1. Not even just the IQ pick being a necessity here, but also a sledge ban from Team 1. So you're going to force Furia to have to run an IQ on almost every single round, but additionally, you're going to need some other level of soft destruction that might not be the most comfortable for your team. Down goes Lagonis, and Neskin follows as Lenda and Rare are the two players from Furia to find the scoreboard. They're not quite close enough to this site. It is a Archives and Tellers defense. You can hear the T5 of Legion ripping away onto Highs, who loses all but a fraction of his HP. A cheeky angle from below of Levy as he looks up at the window from inside of servers, and Furia have about 40 seconds to try and find their footing. Diffuser's in the hands of Rare, who's only on 50 HP. Keep in mind, there's still a Nitro Cell for Ali Mao, so if it comes close enough with how little HP Rare has, it could be his undoing.
You talked about finding their footing, and Hyze has to make sure his footing doesn't find a Legion trap, that's for sure. And dealing with that Banshee in the hallway is definitely going to be a problem. The exchange, though, favoring the defenders, given that the time is ticking down to 0, even though the man count is nice and even. Scratch that. Now it's just Hyze. With one shot, he'll die. He has to make his way into storage. 2 seconds left. That diffuser needs to be picked up. Nice pre-fire, but it doesn't seem to matter, as there is one defender still up. Furia let another round slip out from their grasps, and that's 3 in a row for Team 1.
We talk about this about Consulate when we look at the numbers on whether it's an attacker or defender-sided map, and the thing is that it's not really. There is no sizable advantage whether you start on attack or defense. A lot of it breaks down to the teams and the operators that are banned. And right now, I mean, the defenders have a good opportunity here. A Sledge ban with Valkyrie not being banned means that it's going to be pain for you on attack. As such, Team 1 going up by those 3 rounds, perfect. And just like that, very quickly, Furia takes a timeout to try and settle this team down. Unsurprising. But, I mean, at this point, you have to burn your timeout so early here.
Now, since we're in a timeout, we could talk about the fact that we did actually receive information earlier. Apparently, Nesk has been using his nickname since 2010, before Nesk even became famous. So just a happenstance of a similar name, I suppose.
I mean, it could just be a coincidence. But I mean, I've heard from people when we've been in Brazil, by the way, that Nesk and Zig are worshipped for the way that they play there, especially by younger Rainbow Six players, and that there are a lot of youngsters who've grown up over the 4.5 years, 5 years that Nesk has been playing at the absolute top level, who look up to him and envy him. And it's possible. I mean, did you notice that there's somebody running around with the name Kix in the Rainbow Six scene?
Yeah, there's
KIXS.
I think it's in a tier 3 team or something like that. I don't know. I don't think his name is inspired by me, though. He just happens to have a similar name.
But I mean, at that point, you gotta ask. It's like,
no,
there's actually, you gotta say to yourself, you're like, there's already somebody. Is there already somebody with that name?
Yeah. No,
people are like, oh my God, Kix is so good. Caster.
I did destroy them so we were playing. I actually played a ranked match.
Here comes the bragging. Now you have to assert your dominance as #1 Kix.
I lost the match. So
you said you destroyed them.
But I played really well. I was really proud of myself. I dropped like 15 kills or something like that. It was a good match.
You just have to humble the other Kix. Assert your dominance here, and then also just be like, did you know that I'm an esports awards winner?
They beat us, so...
You have a color commentator of the year award? Because I do. Imposter Kix.
No, just another person named Kix. No, but if we're talking about stats, by the way, so we're talking about individual performances. Again, Alamao is like one of the top players in this lobby. If we're talking about like Brazil, though, Nesk is actually not too far behind him. Because we were talking about Nesk, and he's been having an amazing LAN. And I think it's definitely been a big takeaway. And it's despite the performance that Liquid is having, which is not as good as they were hoping for, I'm sure. They've lost a lot of matches, like against Cyclops, for example. They didn't think they would lose.
I think there's a lot of teams that have come into this tourney thinking that they're not going to lose or that they're going to do better than they're doing, by the way. And well, I think there's been some major surprises so far, and I suspect that we're going to see some surprises with Group B as well, but they're not in action till tomorrow, and they didn't really have many games because they were obviously somewhat handicapped by the fact that they lost Virtus Pro and Wildcard, which severely shortened that schedule. It's what made yesterday such a quick day. Well,
Anywho, indeed. We've got some attackers already in admin office. Good control here. They're going to need to deal with all the utility that's been set up by Team 1. Got some bulletproof cameras placed in interesting spots, as well as the Evil Eyes to deal with here. That's where the explosives come into play. You've got plenty of those explosives, but fewer than usual. Only 3 Ash charges and 2 nades. I mean, Parker, we've been seeing like 3 sets of nades sometimes, Ash and Zofia other times. Like it's a very different lineup here for Furia.
Oh, Ash has nades? I didn't know that.
And did I say that? Did I even like
Ash and Zofia? You're like a set of nades. We've got Ash and Zofia, and I'm like, I know what you meant.
The nades are on different people, but anyway.
Don't overlook the fact that Yana's pick rate has soared, absolutely soared, and part of that is because A, she's got access to frag grenades, and B, she's got the Gon 6 as her secondary. So that is immediately, if you don't even want to use them on real people, I'm not going to let you talk. I'm going to finish my thought, Michael. You can't interrupt me. Anyway, all that said, speaking of Yana, there's Lenda to get the very first opening pick. It's on to KDS. Now, Furia is going to need to answer back. Team 1 are on their back foot. Miracle, not in the site, but below it, and that's the first logic bomb as the execute goes off. One was burned earlier in the round. Smokes to try and cut off a line of sight as Rare is behind the downturn table, getting the plant halfway, but look at all that damage being done. He has to get off it. Miracle rushing up yellow stairs, can't control the SMG-12 as much as he wants. He's in trouble. Levy now, though, trying him to stop him in his position. It's Neskin to finish off that kill. As Rare burns in, Levy punishes him for that, and now Levy's position is over by yellow. All these pings coming in, and yet despite that action, Furia never got the diffuser down. It's in Lenda's hands. He's going for it, but the marks from below. Alimao needs to pick which one he wants to do, and there he goes through the floor. A big clutch. The timeout for Furia doesn't work, and it's 4-0, Team 1.
Okay.
Now you may talk.
I know that the SMG-12 is hard to use, Parker. It's hard for me. It's hard for you. It's hard for everyone.
Don't speak on my behalf. I have no idea how good or not I am with the SMG-12.
Parker, how would you rate yourself as an SMG-12 user?
I'm as good with the SMG-12 as G2 has done this event.
You might be as good as with the SMG-12 as Miracle is with it, as he costed that round hard. I don't really know how else to put it. If he had a different gun, maybe it would have been different, but you can only blame the gun so far at this level. If his flank works out better there, that's just a done deal for Furia. And they do need those rounds. Like, we're looking at a 4-0 right now. And your linchpin player on the flank, who's potentially going to crack this wide open for you, gets the entry, but then loses out on the second. That's Levy, who then goes on to get a really impactful kill on the cross. Information's still abundant in the site because you haven't cleared it out. Evil Eyes, bulletproofs, everything is still up, really. And the call for Alimao from below couldn't be easier for him to shoot through the floor there to stop the plant. I don't know. There's so many little holes in that attack for Furia. They're overextension, but really, when it comes down to it, the round would have been over on the fragging department had that flight just worked out slightly differently.
Down below with the pistol, it's always a hard shot to hit, by the way, and I know that people might roll their eyes at this, but in the heat of the moment, not all those metal beams go the same direction.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Some floors they're laid horizontally, some they're laid vertical, or some they're laid horizontally, others are laid more vertically. In regards to your orientation, I mean up and to the side.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
You know, vertical floors are not floors; they're walls. I don't know. If you know just like how the sun is a planet. In fact.
So yeah,
and just like by the way, how NFTs are totally useless. So just dropping some facts for everybody here.
You were looking for an opportunity to drop that one. Huh?
I'm just trying to make everybody mad at the same time. All I got to do is find some way to shoehorn in a joke about cyclists, and we've pretty much checked every box. So.
Oh boy, but yeah, no, the bars are they are weird. They can be weird to deal with sometimes. And yeah, having an awareness of which way they're going on the particular floor or ceiling that you happen to be shooting at is important.
I can't imagine the confusion, by the way, of the people who are like, well, some of what he said is correct, but the sun is not a planet. You'd be like, it's like,
let's not do this again.
At what point do you not realize that I'm just trying to antagonize you, and by saying very obviously false things to make you mad, I have succeeded by making you mad. That's all. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that sometimes the bars go left to right, and sometimes they go like north and south instead of east and west. So you can be shooting through, and you might think, okay, well, they're oriented a certain way, and then you start shooting, and it's like, oh, they're not actually, and your bullets are hitting where you think there should be a gap between the floor. When you've got the pings, it obviously helps, but time and time again, we have seen so many players just botch a kill through the floors because they just forget which direction they go in.
Yeah, it happens for sure. C4 out from Neskin, it will miss. High's going for the ADS clear. Neskin will retreat. He knows the nades are coming, and because Lenda heard the retreat there, he's not even going to bother with his nade. Now Team 1 unscathed. 58 seconds left. Not a lot of time for Furia to do anything with the vertical presence that they have established. They do have the Buck, but he's not as efficient as a Sledge would be in this situation. So Team 1 in a great position with 3 gas canisters left, still a C4 in play, full manpower up, and only a little bit of time left to wait before they win the time, or rather the round, thanks to the clock.
I mean, the time, obviously, if you win the time, you win the round. I mean, it's pretty simple.
That's
if
true.
you win the time on the timer, you win the round, you win the match. It's just the way it goes.
Easy math.
You look at the clock and you say clock never stops. So it's, anywho, everybody is still alive with 20 seconds left. You know what this means? It means it's going to get real messy real fast. And, well, Furia is hoping to be the beneficiary of that. Oh, my, Highs. No, you don't want to do that one. It's Fantasy there to shut him down with Highs another, and it's Levy now trying to contend against it. They're not going to be able to do anything. Finally, Furia gets around on the board. It comes with very little time left. Still, the advantage is in favor of Team 1 as Michael applauds them. 4-1 Team 1.
They did it. Yay. All right, so I like that execution. It's okay. It's not a good execution if you've got plenty of time. What we just saw there from Furia is going to cost you if you're going for a methodical take. But the explosive entry, the no hex given, the just go, 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 go mentality, if that execution was exactly what was needed with only a few seconds left at the clock. So props to Furia. Pulling out the Hail Mary, and it worked. I love to see those. They're always fun. And that's despite the team kill that we saw from Highs, which, those are always funny. Yeah, so I would say, strategically speaking, Team 1 won that round. They just could not weather the storm when Furia came in all guns blazing from the east side back end. And it shouldn't have worked. It's cool that it did work. Yeah, that's it.
I like the Buck change, by the way. I do enjoy it very much. They liked it so much, they're bringing it a second time now. Yeah. But this is what I talked about early on, and I was a bit curious to see if Furia would adapt to that ban, right? Team 1 banned out the mute, so that's going to hinder. The idea is that's going to hinder Furia when they go on to defense after this round. The Sledge ban from Team 1 is designed to hinder Furia right now. And I mean, it's hard to look at those first 4 rounds and think to yourself, okay, Sledge is the culprit for why Furia was so unsuccessful. They were not particularly strong rounds by any stretch of the imagination. There was no objective play that went down. It was a great site rotation. Team 1 actually won every single bomb site for those first 4 rounds. They went garage, to lobby, to Teller's Archives, to the top floor of CEO and meeting. And they won all of them. And that is literally, we say that 3 sites is a perfect rotation. That is literally a perfect rotation. There are no other sites. And that is a perfect shot by Lenda, for the record. That is absolutely nasty on Taneskin. Long range, sees a couple tracers come through the wall and immediately punishes him.
Wow. Early advantage gained for Furia. And that was, a great reaction to those tracers for sure. Now Team 1 find themselves on the back foot, but they've been here before. They've won a lot of these rounds. Even if Team 1 loses this, though, right now, Furia is in a bad spot. A 4-2 split would be much better than a 5-1, that's for sure. Quick maths. But at the same time, it's still going to be a hard recovery for Furia going into the second half. Now, Team 1's focus here on rebuffing the yellow stairs entry has meant that Miracle has been able to entry into the bottom floor. He'll be confronted with Levy and Alimau, but it's not going to be an easy contest, as there's definitely going to be a good crossfire downstairs for the defenders.
Neskin has been keeping pace with Alimau in regards to the top performers for Team 1 at this moment. Fantasy now is going to look to try to end Alimau, but can't do it. So the Valkyrie just continues to walk away, and he has really enjoyed the fact that this operator has been available time and time again. He's played it twice now, lobby piano, and then is doing so yet again. And he'll sit and he'll police those cams that are positioned. The one that's on the vending machine will catch Highs when he peeks out from where he's playing on the doorway. Alimo is prepped and ready for that. He gets thrown down, and there's a pre-fire from the C8. Usually so good for his shots. Good thing for him, there's the insurance policy. As KDS walks into it, he gets the kill onto Lenda, even though it should have technically been none other than Alimau's. Calm before the storm, potentially here.
Certainly seems so, Parker, but Miracle is going to start rocking as he gets absolutely blasted by the shotgun from Lagonis. Highs in sight, is able to get one, and he's creeping up on another, but he's too slow to save his teammate. Highs will now need to get a 4K in a 1 versus 3. Diffuser picked up. KDS and Alamau, the last two defenders. One's already done away with for highs, and he's going to get the plant down. No contention from these defenders. They now know it's post-plant, and they're going to be trying to deal with that. Want to group up and take the fight together if possible. Highs wants to isolate the 1v1s. Drop into yellow stairs. Both of these Team 1 players grouping up on the yellow doorway. C4 to get rid of the shield so they know they don't need to deal with it. It's going to be a stick. Triple kill for Highs. He's about to get the fourth if KDS can't win this with the pistol. And he does! Oh my! KDS pistol out. And he will save that round for Team 1. The first half goes to them 5-1.
No bullets, no problem. I've got a sidearm just for that one. And it seemed like Highs was playing that perfectly. He was trying to isolate them. Now, the thing was that after the diffuser got planted by Highs, the tracers came through the ceiling above him. He knows that the Valkyrie is up there. He ran, and that gave perfect information to Alimau as to the position of the buck. Now, he slowed it down when he got to antechamber, and he put his back to a hard wall. The only way he could be peeked from where he was standing was the doorway on his left. Now, mind you, there is a soft wall on the left. And that's exactly where he was anticipating a second swing from once he got the initial pick onto Piano, assuming that somebody was going to come through lobby, from spiral stairs, or even just rotate around as we saw from KDS. Honestly, that's a rough place for Highs to be in. He did botch that very final shot. He should have had the Mozzie dead to rights.
Yeah.
The rest of Furia didn't really help him out all that well, and Highs could have actually saved his teammate with the diffuser in hand if he hadn't puzzlingly changed to a skeleton key, assuming that the smoke was playing closer range. If he had just kept it with the C8 perfectly reloaded, he would have been able to get the smoke. The plant would have gone down, and Furia very likely would have won that round.
Yeah, it's been a rough one for Furia. Speaking of, I mean, that's the first half done. All right, so we get to see what Furia can do on defense. But as discussed earlier by Parker, and he's right about this, this map is not a particularly one-sided map. It's not going to be for the defenders especially, or for the attackers, or any some such nonsense. It's about even at a 55% defensive win rate, and that's over 7 plays. It's one of the most played maps at this Invitational so far. It's actually the second most behind Clubhouse. So 55% is on the light end for the defense, and it is definitely not going to be a safe space for Furia. They're going to have to work really hard to make a comeback happen here.
Yeah, a 5-1 on any map. With where we stand in the meta and how no map is so overwhelmingly tilted in favor of one direction, a 5-1 is a very definitive scoreline.
Besides Chalet.
Yeah, I mean, we might be able to see it on Chalet. It's not outside the norm as well to see possibly Clubhouse go into a 5-1 if teams are really proficient on it as well. But, I mean, those are rare. Those are very rare circumstances, and we haven't really seen a lot of 5-1s so far this event. And most of them have been in an absolute slaughter. You know, if we're seeing a 5-1, there's no comeback potential. So, yeah, I mean, this 5-1 right now for Team 1, I mean, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but historically, this all but guarantees Team 1 the win at this point. Furia probably knows this deep down, and it's got to sting. If they can pick up 1 or 2 rounds here, though, they'll be in good shape. The problem for Furia also is that they don't have a timeout. They took it after the 3rd round. So they have no opportunity to stop the momentum. They cannot just sit back and regroup. This is good for them, though. They've got the first 2 opening picks here in their very first defense as none other than the Maestro of Highs just mows down Neskin.
Yeah, so too early on, but the Valkyrie cam will call out for Rare. This is another reason why you ban Valkyrie. C4 to open up the angle, and there's a freebie if I've ever seen one. Levy goes down, and Furia find themselves up 3 players early on in this first defensive round. Alimau and Lagonis now have to fight against the storm that is Furia, and it's not going to be an easy battle. And they can make something happen here. I mean, it's not inconceivable. One of the biggest problems is, again, that Valkyrie unbanned, there's no IQ in play. I mean, you're going to get spotted out and you're not even going to know what's happening.
That's one of those laser gates, which we have to pay tribute to the way that Ace says it. Laser gates. I can't even say it anywhere near as well as he says it. That accent is just really a piece of, just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah, so,
like, I was going to say a piece of heaven, but oh my, Lagonis, okay, this is now much more winnable. But you're going to run headfirst into the Maestro. You made too much noise, clamoring for a kill, and now Alimo's dropped by Miracle too. So it looked like it was close. It looked like they were starting to put something together, and then Team One just got a bit too hasty. And part of that also just happens to come down to the time. They didn't have a ton of time to work with. They ran into their death, and they got punished for it. And what has been a very overwhelmingly lopsided game for Team One, FURIA does show some signs of life, but there is a lot more that they need to do to prove that they're in this game.
I mean, yeah, they showed some great signs of life in that last round, but it's just one round. The question is, can they repeat that now over and over and over again on the defense? One thing that's curious here, take a look. No Valkyrie? No problem, says FURIA, as they also 6-pick off of their Maestro into a Doc. That is puzzling to me. So they have just sacrificed the vast majority of their information on the defense for a Doc and an Oryx. I don't know about that one. Let's see if it works out.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Seems to be the story of a lot of teams here at SI, but I think that is not, it is very easy to interpret that as us being rude to those teams. But in all reality, it doesn't come from that position. It comes from a position where I don't think we need to say it more than we already have. It's been 14 months without an international competition. We have no clue what new rosters, new meta, and new maps are going to play out like. So a lot has changed, and I think for a lot of these teams, there are teams coming in, and don't kid yourself. All 18 teams that are competing think that they can win. If you are coming into SI with the mindset, we're not going to win, then you might as well have not even shown up in the first place. All of these teams are coming in
like that so far.
Sorry?
What? I didn't say anything. I don't know what you're talking about, Parker. You're just hearing ghosts.
What's very rude to those teams, Michael?
What teams? Well, I don't know what you're saying.
Anywho, there are teams that are coming in that are going to take this as a learning opportunity, win or lose, and whether they expect to win or not, this is great experience. And it's obviously, you know, when LATAM was a new region, this really helped them. With APAC was a new region, which to a certain extent they still are, because there haven't actually been that many international events since APAC's deployment, because we had a year and a half almost, or just over a year, where nothing has happened. So they're still learning, and they're still getting the hang of it. And of course, these are new teams. As for FURIA and Team One, these are new rosters on the international scene, and they're both competing to show that they made it here for good reason. As for Team One, they have FURIA right where they want them. And in this round, after Team One dropped their very first attack, they start off strong by taking care of Miracle and putting FURIA at a disadvantage early.
So this is the inverse of what we saw in the last round. Love to see some switch up here. Team One success on the attack, at least so far. A little bit more of a calm here. So it's an admin overtake, and Levy's been tasked with holding downstairs. Now, Zero is a great operator for controlling the flank in an indirect way. You know, Nomad's going to do it in a direct way, where the air jab will hit you and you'll fly back. Zero will do it in a way where they spot you on a cam that you don't notice as a defender, and then they turn you into a pick on the flank. And that could have happened to Fantasy, but he's going to fall back after he realizes he's been spotted and keep himself up so that the team fight on site will be slightly better for the defense. There are 3 roamers right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, did you catch this? There was a call made from somebody on FURIA for everybody to reposition. Yeah. All 4 of their remaining players found themselves a new place to stand and have taken up completely different parts of the map. Now, obviously, it isn't working because Lagona snaps onto the head of one, Levy is down, in they'll charge, and, well, we don't get to see the action. We just get to see the teams very patiently looking at what's going on. Nope, down goes Lenda. He's not going to be able to get back to the site. As Oryx, he could have leapt through the hatch, but that's not what's going to happen. Instead, Rare's on yellow stairs, and that's where he will be buried. Put him in a casket. It's match point for Team One.
Okay, so we didn't see the action so directly, but we can all surmise what happened there. It's pretty easy and simple. Basically, FURIA had 3 roamers and 1 anchor. And then Team One realized that, and they walked into sight. I
would just like to point, by the way, before we get into this, I would just like to say that I received a message from Desichu that says, and I quote, LOL laser gates, you say it so poorly, oh my god.
Wow.
So,
well, you know, we're trying our best, okay?
You know, I love it. I love being slandered and attacked so rudely by my colleagues.
Attackers have discovered the location.
Yeah.
He typed it in all caps, by the way. It was as loud as his floral shirt today.
I like that shirt. I like
very
it.
nice. It's very
No, it was the laser gates, which I don't even think I've actually unironically called it a laser gate before. That's a new one for me.
Surya
I like
gate.
It sounds nice. I'm gonna keep doing it. The laser gates are very useful in slowing down the attack, but that last round, in terms of the lineup, I think that was the biggest problem for Furia. They were leading into a heavy roam strategy that was directly countered by the Zero. The cams placement from Levy meant that those roamers weren't able to do exactly what they wanted to do, which is flank, because the flank was so well controlled. We keep seeing these early picks happen. This time it's going to be for Furia. We get the back and forth of these rounds. Furia's getting the early pick. Team 1's getting the early pick. Now it's Furia again. And, you know, so far the team that has got that early pick has not lost yet.
Michael, there's two letters that come to mind when you see something like that, by the way. There's two letters that just... Are those letters?
GN, are you happy now, Parker?
Because good night is 9 letters.
I mean, you read the abbreviation you know what, it doesn't matter.
Constant reminder of the strength of the American education system.
Uh-huh.
Good night. Good night's 2 letters. Big yellow one's the sun.
Do you actually say like GN out loud?
No, I don't say gamer terminology in real life.
I didn't think so. So why are you giving me heck for it?
Like you're at a grocery store and you go to get something scanned and they're like, oh, this one's 50 cents off, and you just look at the clerk and you're just like, poggers.
I don't think that's I don't think anyone does that.
As we fill the time, by the way, in what has been an absolute pummeling that Team 1 has given to Furia here. Furia were entirely roaming, and now they are being recalled back to their home planet, aka the basement. They have been called home. We must go. Our people need us.
And going back to basement with the man advantage is definitely going to be the right call as we hit the last 70 seconds. There is a chance here for Team 1. They are not out of this round. They certainly have a tall mountain to climb as they attempt to wrestle some of this advantage away from Furia. It'll only get worse, though, as Neskin eats the C4 placed by Rare from below. Second one will miss, but still, it really wasn't necessary. At this point, Team 1 find themselves between a rock and a hard place. Only thing they have really going for them is the control.
Now, the last time we saw this, by the way, Team 1 got 2 picks very quickly back-to-back, but were ultimately beaten by the clock and had to hastily assemble in the site. Now, this time around, there's still some time to work with. I have seen teams get that exothermic charge open, and so have you, because we cast together. We've seen that happen with 15 to 20 seconds left. They've got an extra 10, and enough time for them to get that diffuser planted, as Lagonis is doing right that, baiting out the smoke by the car. Alimel 1, KDS another, but it's down to just Lagonis. He has to get off that diffuse and take matters into his own hands. And, well, his hands aren't very good enough. They get cut off at the pass by Furia, who takes yet another round. Still, though, match point for Team 1.
That was a big round there for Furia, and it was all started with that early pick that they managed outside. They established that man advantage at the very beginning of the round. Team 1 never recovered because Furia played so passively on the site. And even though Team 1 was able to get the control that they wanted, they weren't able to leverage that control for any picks whatsoever before executing into the site itself. So, vertical, yes, but anything from it, no. That's difficult if you're Team 1, and just shoving your face into the garage is not going to solve the problem, especially when you're down 2 men already. Now it'll be a lobby defense for Furia. They have to go perfect. 3 more rounds in a row will be the toll here. And I don't know. I mean, it's possible. Their defense has been all right. Only lost 1 of them so far. Any crazier things have happened, Parker.
Maybe we're just looking at an exceptionally defensive-sided Consulate. I mean, that's possible. The good news for Team 1, though, is that if this is a defender-sided map, if for some reason, because of everything that's going on right now, which, by the way, I do think the Sledge ban, I do think the Hibana ban, and I do think the prevalence of Valkyrie is going to make this a very friendly map for the defense. We talked about how crucial an operator Valkyrie is. It prompts teams to run IQ quite frequently, but it's also worth noting that while we said this, there's only been 1 round of IQ so far. So whether Valkyrie is or isn't on the board, Doesn't really matter. None of the attackers are bringing IQ. The only time that she was present was round 3. She came one time, that was it, and was immediately dropped. But other than that, I do think the defense have an upper hand here with the bans, and I think that with the way the teams are playing, especially with how aggressive the defense are playing, and Consulate's a very linear map, so it can be a bit of a freak show, that the defense have the strength here. The thing is that will Team 1 be able to do 2 rounds on attack? They've already got 1.
I just want to mention, because I forgot to bring it up earlier when it was more relevant, the sledge ban from Team 1 was a targeted ban so clearly, but not just because of their expected preference from FURIA, but also because of, like, statistically, it's the best op on attack for FURIA is sledge, just through and through. They play it 100% of the time when available, and it has a 53% win rate, and that's a pretty good one overall, considering how frequently it's played. So that was a calculated ban from Team 1, and it did definitely debilitate the FURIA attack. And it might be doing the same to Team 1, but they actually don't use sledge as well on this map. Anyway, what we do know for certain is that there is good control on the admin side and coffin side of this map. Upstairs, Team 1 are setting up their platform to take control of Projector to get vertical presence over B so they can later plant.
Well, Furia is still roaming very aggressively downstairs. 3 of these rounds so far on defense, we've all seen the same thing. Furia's presence has been mostly focused and concentrated off-site, and then at some point through the midway of the round, there's a call made, and they all just get back in as quickly as they can. Well, 2 times it's looked like a very smart move, because it's hard to argue that they don't catch Team 1 flat-footed, and they might have just done it again. Fantasy opening things up with a pick onto Lagonis. Lagonis is your only hard breacher. That hard breach gadget that Levy has in hand is not a suitable alternative for the Selmas that Lagonis is going to bring. And knowing how tricky it is to take control of the top floor without any actual hard destruction, well, that might be ultimately too much for Team 1. The good news is they were able to get a couple Selmas off before he perished.
The bad news is that they've got to deal with the man disadvantage now, and the fact that there's still plenty of denial for the plant on Furia's side, even if their positioning isn't great. This C4 from Lenda is going to be huge. Neskin will get rare, and it's another for 1, but there's some re from highs, but it's just Fantasy all of a sudden as Team 1 clean up shop. This could be it. Fantasy from Spiral gets the diffuser carrier. That's a big kill. Alamau hits the ground. Levy above, KDS in sight. The 1 versus 1, though, does not work out as Levy adds his gun to the fray, and Team 1 will take the